Would you let your family physician perform open heart surgery? Well, when it comes to attorneys, the same thing applies in an M&A transaction. Hey everyone, this is Michael McGregor, and I'm an M&A investment banker with Focus Investment Banking, and I help folks in the automotive aftermarket with mergers and acquisitions. But I'm also a monthly columnist for Modern Tire Dealer. In the November issue, Modern Tire Dealer, I wrote a column that deals with common legal issues in an M&A transaction. And I try to make the point in the column that mergers and acquisitions and transactions are different animals than the typical thing that a lot of family attorneys are involved with. And finding an experienced transactions attorney is going to save you time and money, and they'll probably protect you better than someone that has done a few deals but doesn't perhaps know all the angles. I find increasingly when we're dealing with strategic buyers of the size of Monroe or Mavis or private equity groups, that having experienced transactions attorneys that have dealt with those folks before, well then you'll just be protected better and it makes for a smoother transaction. One thing that I recommend my clients do is find one, or we sometimes, depending on the state that we're involved in, we can recommend some that they can then use to protect them in the transaction and to get it done. For my November column, I asked an experienced transactions attorney, Greg Hensrud of Kleindienst Attorneys, what are some of the common legal issues that he deals with. And one of the first things he talked about was just before you're going to go out to market, just get your house in order. For example, if you're an old C corporation, find all those old minutes, get those books and records in order. If you have some real estate held in the C corporation, well, you might want to take some time to move that real estate out before a transaction happens, things of that nature. Greg also talked about the importance of getting an NDA in place, a non-disclosure agreement with whoever the potential person that the other party is. With regards to NDAs, Greg's of the mind that having the venue for disputes be in your backyard is not as important as perhaps having a neutral place for that. And that's something that I learned last year in a transaction with Yogesh Mahansaria Tires in our acquisition of Tires International. Yogesh was based out in India and Tires International was based in Ohio, and the idea was, hey, let's pick a neutral place. Let's pick Delaware, which is, Yogesh made the point, hey, Delaware's a lot closer to Ohio than it is to India, but let's try to pick a neutral place. And that seems to be a fair way to go. Greg also advises that representations and warranties are things that a seller's going to have to sign off on or represent that certain things are valid. And there's so many of these things out there that he tends to focus in on the ones that are most important or that can impact his client the most. And these often have to do with employee issues or environmental issues. So not all reps and warranties need to be treated equally. If they don't apply, then why focus in on them? The column also deals with non-competition agreements, and sometimes these can be onerous to the point where you can't even own real estate. So what Greg advises often is to think early what you want to do after a transaction, and usually if you have reasonable things that you want to do, these can be carved out in a transaction. Greg also has an interesting take on asset versus stock sales, and that's dealt with in the column there. But at the end of the day, large transactions are different than small ones, and your trusted family attorney might not be the right person to help you get a deal done effectively and efficiently, particularly when there's ongoing employment issues. Knowing when to push and when to pull. If you're going to be staying on after a transaction, you can't be burning any bridges. So having somebody that has a feel for that and knows what can and can't be done really will make a big difference. Anyway, that's my November column, common legal issues in an M&A transaction. I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please call me at 704-621-7200, or you can email me at michael.mcgregor@focusbankers.com. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a loyal Modern Tire Dealer reader.